Here's a glance at sports on TV, including channels, radio listings and game times for local games and national sporting events for January 21 to 27, 2019. Frequent TV channel numbers are listed at the bottom of the page. Schedule subject to change and/or blackouts, all time specific. Monday, January 21st, NBA 9:30 a.m. NBATV Oklahoma City at New York Noon NBATV Orlando at Atlanta 2:30 p.m. TNT New Orleans at Memphis 5 p.m. TNT Houston at Philadelphia 6 p.m. NBCSNW Portland at Utah KPO 620 KKRZ 102.3 7:30 p.m. TNT Golden State at LA Lakers NHL 1 p.m. NBCSN St. Louis at Los Angeles Tennis 6 p.m. ESPN2 Australian Open Midnight, ESPN2 Australian Open College Basketball 3:30 p.m. FS1 Maryland at Michigan State 4 p.m. CBSSN American at Boston University, ESPN Virginia Tech at North Carolina KXTG 750 102.9 ESPNU Jackson State at Texas State 5 p.m. BTN Nebraska at Rutgers 5:30 p.m. FS1 Creighton at Georgetown 6 p.m. CBSSN Marshall at Western Kentucky, ESPN Iowa State at Kansas, ESPNU Baylor at West Virginia Women's College Basketball 4 p.m. ESPN2 Missouri at South Carolina, SEC Arkansas at Tennessee Women's College Hockey Noon BTN Lindenwood at Penn State Golf 11 a.m. GolfWeb.com Tour the Bahamas Great Abaco Classic High School Basketball 8 a.m. ESPNU Rainy, NJ vs Federal Way Wash 10 a.m. ESPNU McEachern Gott vs Rancho Christian Calif noon. ESPNU Sierra Canyon Calif vs Monteverde Academy Florida 2 p.m. ESPNU DeMatha MD vs La Lumiere Tuesday, January 22nd NBA 5 p.m. NBCSNW NBATV Portland at Oklahoma City KPO 620 KKRZ 102.3 NHL 6 p.m. NBCSN Detroit at Edmonton Tennis 6 p.m. ESPN2 Australian Open 12:30 a.m. Wednesday, ESPN2 Australian Open College Basketball 3:30 p.m. SEC Auburn at South Carolina 4 p.m. Root Notre Dame at Georgia Tech BTN Minnesota at Michigan, ESPN Mississippi State at Kentucky, ESPN2 Texas Tech at Kansas State, ESPNU Clemson at Florida State FS1 Villanova at Butler 5 p.m. CBSSN Wichita State at South Florida 5:30 p.m. SEC Texas A. Root Boise State at Air Force BTN Indiana at Northwestern, ESPN Duke at Pittsburgh, ESPNU Mississippi at Alabama 7 p.m. CBSSN New Mexico at UNLV 8 p.m. ESPNU San Diego State at Fresno State Women's College Basketball 6 p.m. FS1 Oklahoma at TCU Golf 11 a.m. GolfWeb.com Tour the Bahamas Great Abaco Classic Horse Racing Noon Portland Meadows Live Racing Wednesday, January 23rd NBA 5 p.m. ESPN San Antonio at Philadelphia 7:30 p.m. ESPN Denver at Utah NHL 4:30 p.m. NBCSN Washington at Toronto 7 p.m. NBCSN Nashville at Vegas WHL 7 p.m. Tri-City at Portland Tennis 7 p.m. ESPN2 Australian Open 12:30 a.m. Thursday, ESPN Australian Open College Basketball 3:30 p.m. FS1 Providence at Xavier 4 p.m. BTN Purdue at Ohio State, CBSSN VCU at Rhode Island, ESPN2 Tennessee at Vanderbilt, ESPNU Texas at TCU SEC Georgia at LSU 5:30 p.m. FS1 DePaul at Marquette 6 p.m. BTN Wisconsin at Illinois, CBSSN Loyola Chicago at Missouri State, ESPNU Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, SEC Missouri at Arkansas 8 p.m. CBSSN, Colorado State at Nevada Women's College Basketball 3 p.m. Root, Texas Tech at West Virginia Figure Skating 1:30 p.m. NBCSN, European Championships Golf 11 a.m. GolfWeb.com Tour, the Bahamas Great Abaco Classic 8 p.m. Golf European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic 3:30 a.m. Thursday Golf European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic, Thursday January 24th NBA 5 p.m. TNT, Golden State at Washington 6 p.m. NBCSNW, Portland at Phoenix, KPOJ, 620, KKRZ, 102.3, 7:30 p.m. TNT, Minnesota at LA Lakers Tennis, 12:30 a.m. Friday ESPN, Australian Open College Basketball 4 p.m. CBSSN, Memphis at Temple ESPN2, Tulsa at Cincinnati ESPNU, Gardner-Webb at Winthrop FS1, Michigan State at Iowa 6 p.m. ESPN2, Washington at Oregon, KFXX 1080, Pac-12, Utah at Stanford CBSSN, Marshall at Louisiana Tech ESPNU, Belmont at Murray State FS1, Arizona at USC 7 p.m. Eastern Washington at Portland State Portland at San Francisco, KMTT 910, 8 p.m. Root, Gonzaga at Santa Clara Pac-12, Washington State at Oregon State, KEX 1190, Pac-12, Colorado at California ESPN2, St. Mary's at BYU FS1, Arizona State at UCLA Women's College Basketball 11 a.m. Portland State at Eastern Washington 3 p.m. BTN, Michigan at Purdue 3:30 p.m. SEC, Missouri at Kentucky 4 p.m. Root, Louisville at Florida State ESPN, Notre Dame at Tennessee 5 p.m. BTN, Maryland at Ohio State 5:30 p.m. SEC, Texas A. Santa Clara at Portland Auto Racing, noon NBCSN, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Figure Skating 2 p.m. NBCSN, U.S. Championships 4 p.m. NBCSN, European Championships 6 p.m. NBCSN, U.S. Championships 8 p.m. NBCSN, European Championships Golf 3:30 a.m. Golf European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic 8:15 a.m. Golf PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open noon Golf PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open 11:30 p.m. Golf European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic X Games 7 p.m. ESPN2, Day 1, Friday, January 25th NBA 5 p.m. ESPN, Toronto at Houston NHL 6 p.m. NBCSN, All-Star Skills Competition Tennis 12:30 a.m. Saturday ESPN, Australian Open, Women's Final Soccer 11:30 a.m. FS2, Bundesliga, Schalke vs. Hertha Berlin College Basketball 3:30 p.m. CBSSN, Buffalo at Kent State FS1, Michigan at Indiana 4 p.m. ESPNU, Ryder at Iona 5:30 p.m. FS1, Butler at Creighton Women's College Basketball 7 p.m. Pac-12, Oregon at Washington State 8 p.m. Pac-12, Oregon State at Washington College Gymnastics 3 p.m. SEC, Kentucky at Florida 4:30 p.m. SEC, Georgia at Auburn 6 p.m. SEC, LSU at Alabama College Hockey 5:30 p.m. CBSSN, St. Cloud State at North Dakota College Wrestling 4 p.m. BTN, Michigan at Ohio State 6 p.m. BTN, Iowa at Illinois Figure Skating 11 a.m. NBCSN, European Championships 1 p.m. NBCSN, U.S. Championships 3 p.m. NBCSN, European Championships 5 p.m. NBC, U.S. Championships Golf noon Golf PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open 12:30 a.m. Saturday Golf European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic High School Basketball 5 p.m. ESPN2, Sunrise Academy, Con, at University School, Florida, X Games 7 p.m. ESPN2, Day 2, Saturday, January 26th NBA 5:30 p.m. ABC, Golden State at Boston, KFXX 1080, 7 p.m. NBCSNW, Atlanta at Portland, KPOJ 620, KKRZ 102.3, NHL 5 p.m. NBC, All-Star Game WHL 6 p.m. Seattle at Portland Tennis 12:30 a.m. Sunday ESPN, Australian Open, Men's Final Soccer 6:30 a.m. FS1, Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund vs. Hannover. FS2, Bundesliga, Augsburg vs. Mönchengladbach 9:30 a.m. FS2, Bundesliga, Frankfurt vs. Werder Bremen 3 p.m. FS2, Liga MX, Club America vs. Monterrey College Football 11:30 a.m. NFLN, Senior Bowl, North vs. South College Basketball 9 a.m. BTN, Illinois vs. Maryland. CBSSN, Colgate at Loyola Maryland. ESPN, Iowa State at Mississippi. ESPN2, Florida at TCU. ESPNU, Alabama at Baylor. FS1, Ohio State at Nebraska 10 a.m. CBS, Virginia at Notre Dame 11 a.m. CBSSN, Davidson at St. Louis. ESPN, Kansas State at Texas A. BTN, Northwestern at Wisconsin 1 p.m. Route, Portland at Pacific, KMTT 910, Pac-12, Washington at Oregon State, KEX 1190, CBSSN, Utah State at New Mexico. ESPN, West Virginia at Tennessee. ESPN2, Vanderbilt at Oklahoma. ESPNU, South Florida at East Carolina 1:30 p.m. BTN, Rutgers at Penn State 3 p.m. ESPN, Kansas at Kentucky, KXTG 750, 102.9. ESPN2, Arkansas at Texas Tech. ESPNU, Tulane at SMU. CBSSN, Wichita State at Connecticut. SEC, LSU at Missouri 5 p.m. Route, St. Mary's at Pepperdine. ESPN, Syracuse at Virginia Tech. ESPN2, Arizona State at USC. FS1, Colorado at Stanford. ESPNU, Utah at California. CBSSN, UNLV at San Diego State 5:30 p.m. SEC, Auburn at Mississippi State 7 p.m. ESPN2, Arizona at UCLA. Idaho at Portland State. Women's College Basketball 2 p.m. Portland State at Idaho. San Francisco at Portland College Hockey 4 p.m. BTN, Penn State at Michigan College Swimming 8 a.m. SEC, Georgia vs. Tennessee Auto Racing 11 a.m. NBCSN, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship noon. FS2, FIA Formula E, qualifying 1 p.m. FS1, FIA Formula E, race 6 p.m. NBCSN, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Boxing 3 p.m. FS1, PBC Fight Night, Prelims 5 p.m. Fox, PBC Fight Night Figure Skating 8 a.m. NBCSN, European Championships 4 p.m. NBCSN, U.S. Championships Golf 10 a.m. Golf PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open noon. CBS, PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open 12:30 a.m. Sunday Golf, European Tour, Omega Dubai Desert Classic Luge 5 a.m. NBCSN, Phil World Championships Mixed Martial Arts 6 p.m. Spike Bellator MMA Skiing 7 a.m. NBCSN, FIS Alpine World Cup Track and Field 11 a.m. SEC, Razorback Invitational 2 p.m. NBCSN, New Balance Indoor Grand Prix X Games 7 a.m. ESPN2, Day 3 10 a.m. ABC, Day 3 7 p.m. ESPN, Day 3, Sunday, January 27th. NFL noon. ABC, ESPN, Pro Bowl, KXTG 750, 102.9, NBA 3 p.m. ESPN, Milwaukee at Oklahoma City. WHL 5 p.m. Lethbridge at Portland Soccer 6:30 a.m. FS1, Bundesliga, Bayern Munich vs. Stuttgart 9 a.m. FS2, Bundesliga, Leipzig vs. Dusseldorf. NBA G League noon. NBATV, Wisconsin vs. Erie College basketball 9 a.m. CBSSN, Cincinnati at Temple Fox, Georgetown at St. John's FS1, DePaul at Providence 10 a.m. CBS, Michigan State at Purdue, KMTT 910, 11 a.m. CBSSN, Indiana State at Illinois State, ESPN EWS, Houston at Tulsa 11:30 a.m. Fox, Seton Hall at Villanova 1 p.m. CBSSN, Central Florida at Memphis, ESPNU, Southern Illinois at Loyola Chicago 2 p.m. FS1, Iowa at Minnesota 3 p.m. ESPNU, Florida State at Miami 5 p.m. ESPNU, Washington State at Oregon, KFXX 1080, Women's College Basketball 9 a.m. BTN, Maryland at Indiana, ESPNU, St. Joseph's at Dayton 10 a.m. Root, Syracuse at Duke, SEC, LSU at Tennessee 11 a.m. BTN, Michigan State at Michigan, ESPNU, Alabama at Georgia FS2, DePaul at Xavier Noon Pac-12, Oregon State at Washington State Root, Wake Forest at Virginia SEC, Mississippi at Mississippi State 1 p.m. ESPN2, Central Florida at Connecticut 2 p.m. Pac-12, Oregon at Washington SEC, Kentucky at Texas A. BTN, Ohio State at Michigan State Auto Racing 7:30 a.m. NBCSN, IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship Bobsledding, Skeleton 5 p.m. NBCSN, IBSF World Cup Bowling Noon FS1, PBA, Lubbock Open Golf, 10 a.m. Golf PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open Noon NBC, PGA Tour, Farmers Insurance Open Luge 3 p.m. NBCSN, Phil World Championships Skiing 6 p.m. NBCSN, FIS Alpine World Cup X Games 11 a.m. ESPN2, Day 4 5:30 p.m. ESPN, Day 4 Horse Racing Noon Portland Meadows, Live Racing, Frequent Channel Numbers ABC, Comcast 2, DirecTV 2, CBS, Comcast 6, DirecTV 6, NBC, Comcast 8, DirecTV 8, Fox, Comcast 12, DirecTV 12, NBCSN, Comcast 32, DirecTV 220, Golf, Comcast 33, DirecTV 218, Root, Comcast 34, DirecTV 687, ESPN, Comcast 35, DirecTV 206, ESPN 2, Comcast 36, DirecTV 209. NBCSNW, Comcast 37, NAA on DirecTV, TNT, Comcast 54, DirecTV 245, TBS, Comcast 55, DirecTV 247, NFLN, Comcast 400, 417, DirecTV 212, ESPN EWS, Comcast 402, DirecTV 207, BTN, Comcast 403, DirecTV 610, FS1, Comcast 408, DirecTV 219, Tennis, Comcast 410, DirecTV 217, ESPNU, Comcast 411, DirecTV 208, CBSSN, Comcast 412, DirecTV 221, FS2, Comcast 414, DirecTV 618, NBATV, Comcast 416, 439, DirecTV 216, NHLN, Comcast 418, DirecTV 215, MLBN, Comcast 419, DirecTV 213, Pac-12, Comcast 420, 421, NAA on DirecTV, SEC, Comcast 425, DirecTV 611.